If you imagine mum sitting at the kitchen table in the morning getting the maths books out, and all the kids are there working hard, and imagine a little Christian school, all the huge parental involvement, fantastically committed teachers, small classes, what's not to like? Well, unfortunately, people come up with lots of things that they think we shouldn't like. These things. I'm going to run through some of them very, very quickly. First of all, some people think the best thing you do with kids is put them in the biggest crowd possible of children. Okay, kids need to socialise, they learn to socialise, but does being in a big group of kids often bring out the best in kids? Well, sometimes not. Sometimes it brings out the worst in them. Bullying, I taught for many years the things that go on in one groups of kids, dear oh dear. What else do people like? People think, oh, what's going to happen to academic standards? Surely they're going to fall to bits. No one's going to learn anything at the kitchen table. Doesn't even look like a classroom. The only problem with that argument is the facts of how things work out. The kids in alternative schools, independent schools, home educated, they do fantastically well. Who else doesn't like it? It's maybe a bit controversial to say this one. I sometimes think maybe teachers or people involved in education think, well, we trained for years to be able to do this. Why does this dad think he can just do it? Sit at the kitchen table and teach his kids. We can't have rank amateurs like this. They must have no clue. Well, the fact is people can do it. People can do it. They can do it perfectly well and often better with their one-to-one attention. Why else don't people like it? Well, I think some people in the government don't like it because they're worried it might not quite be the right message. You'll know about the appalling, corrupting sex education, transgender education, which teaches children and helps them towards making bad decisions that will wreck their lives. That's a terribly serious issue. Drugs as well, same sort of issue. But just in general, a sort of left-wing, a liberal, international sort of political bent. I'm not saying that's, we agree or disagree with that, but just the state's got its own agenda of what they want to put into our kids. So they don't like the idea that parents are going to take their place. Why else do they like these schools? They think equality. Some people think, oh, it's equality, everyone's going to be the same. It's not fair if everyone doesn't go to exactly the same school. It's almost as if they're admitting, actually, their kids are better in home education. Actually, they get better off in these independent schools. It's almost as if they're admitting that. But they think they want everyone to be exactly the same. But why? As we've been hearing earlier, why want that? There's another reason as well, to do with equality. Some people think, including a lot of people in this parliament, that children are an oppressed minority. And do you know who oppresses them? Adults. They think that society's invented this terrible thing called childhood, and childhood is a means to oppress children. And what we need to do is liberate children from adult authority, then they can be genuinely free citizens. I mean, totally bonkers idea. But if the government's got a bonkers idea, they can put it into practice in schools, not so easy around the kitchen table in your house. Who else doesn't like this home education? Well, I think some people think, well, basically men and women, they both need to be out at work. We don't want someone home with the kids. So some right-wing people think, we want both people earning. We don't want one person spending their time, wasting their time bringing kids up when they could be earning money and paying taxes. What sort of priority is that? And also some people think as well, they're a bit worried that if you let people educate their own kids, you know what they're going to bring into it, don't you? And this is a serious concern. They're going to end up bringing God into it. Now, some people are very, very keen secularists, and they really do not like the idea of children being brought up as though God's real and religious faith has any meaning in their lives. Then I think the other reason some people don't like home education, independent schools, especially in the parliament, especially in the government, is they're a bit offended by them. In fact, they're very offended by them. Be like if someone came to you, let's imagine what's your job. I don't know, let's say you've got a fish and chip shop. Let's say someone comes in to chip shop and says, okay, I know you run a fish and chip shop, but can you tell me where there are any decent ones around here? Well, it's not going to go down very well, is it? Because what you're saying to the government is basically, we don't really like what you're offering. We've got something better. We want to opt out of that. And they're offended. They think, how could anyone, how dare anyone criticize this wonderful service that we're providing? So there's some of the reasons why people are so hostile to what's, on the face of it, such a fantastic, innocent, positive, nurturing thing for children. It's sort of the ideal for children in so many ways. That's why we've got a fight on our hands, and that's why we're here fighting it. Now, you're doing a key job with home education, independent schools. The key job is, it's a reality check to the state. If you didn't exist, the state would be much more confident in saying, we're going to make the schools the way we want them, everyone's going to go to them, so like it or lump it. And they'd be much bolder in making schools in their own image. But because there's the option of people saying, well, no, actually, I don't fancy that, we're going to look at something different. We're going to create something different. That option keeps the government on their toes. It reminds them they can't control everything, they don't know best about everything, and they can't force everyone into their mould. So as well as benefiting the children in independent schools, in home education, you're also benefiting the children in state schools as well, because you just rein the government in a little bit. And I'll finish by one thing. I'm involved as leader of the family party. Obviously, a lot of these issues, it comes down to political issues. And so we're protesting against them. Things come from the government. But I've got great news for you. And the great news is there's an election coming up. So any politicians you don't like, any parties you don't like, that's the day when you get to have your say. So I'd urge you to make your voice heard in every possible way on these issues, including on election day. So, right, thank you very much.